Hello Tokusatsu community and welcome back to my SODO Sunday series here on the Toku Toy Story YouTube channel. This is the series where I cover all of the latest SODO, SHODO, and Udaline figure news from Japan. Today we have some Kamen Rider Revice news to discuss and the next SHODO Set. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. So first up for Kamen Rider Revice, we have another promotional figure. So a couple of months ago, during like buy 2 and buy 3, somewhere around that time frame, there was the whole campaign going on to where you could mail in, if you lived in Japan, and really only if you lived in Japan, you could mail in part of the box of the instructions and everything, and actually be sent a special Vice figure that was like him in his demon form that had like this, the little tail and everything like that. And it was just kind of a little fun bonus figure that they were going to be doing for this campaign. Well, of course, as you know, Vice has that form when he's kind of, translucent and not fully being released by Ikki. And then, of course, he has his full-on, with legs and everything like that form when he's allowed to just kind of be out in the physical world. And, of course, it's not that hard for them to do a figure on that because it's pretty much just doing a new torso and legs for him. And that's exactly what they're doing. So they're going to be doing another promotional campaign starting with the boxes of buy 7, and I think it might continue for buy 8 and such like that. So where you can get a fully completed Vice figure if you really want that for your collection, or if you never got the other one, it's another chance to get some version of Vice. Now it's going to come with swappable hands and a swappable torso piece that has a belt port on it for you to clip in the Revice driver so you can recreate any of the times that he transformed into Jack Revice using the rolling Vice stamp. You're not going to get Revice drivers for that port, and you're not going to get a rolling Vice stamp for him to hold. You're going to have to get those from the set that Jack Revice actually came in. So it's cool that they're making it compatible, but they do talk about how you have to go back to buy, I think it was 6 or 7, one of those two sets for it, to actually get the pieces to recreate that fully, but at least they're going to give you the torso piece to get you started. And then moving back over to the main Revice line, we're getting yet another not Revice character, and it's going to be another figure to tie into the brand new Kamen Rider Genmu special. So of course last time we looked at Genmu Muso Gamer, and of course now we have the other new forms from the special, 1000 Arc. So this is exactly what you think it would be. It's mainly just Arc 01's figure, or Arc 1's figure from a couple years ago with a little bit of a different Thouser head. The blog compares it to how it looks to Kamen Rider Zaya. They do talk about how, there's new pieces on this, there's some new molding in it and everything, but for the most part, it's just kind of a reuse of some older pieces, and, well, the suit is, but the figure is mainly new as well. So it's really cool that they're doing this in the other form, and it looks great when you compare it to Genmu Muso, and it's just nice that we're getting both of those in the line. Now, they also did not show this off during Genmu Muso's original reveal, so they showed it off here. It's going to be part of buy 8 as well. You're going to get the Gashikon Bug Visor weapon, and they talked about how they had to heavily remold it from the original version of it that came out 5 years ago during the X-Aid SODO line, because that was definitely a different time, and this is a lot better of a version of the Bug Visor. It's just a little bit more fancier, it's a little bit more sculpted better, held better, what you would expect for 5 years later in the engineering of SODO. So really cool that we have that in both of these forms to celebrate this special in buy 8. And speaking of the arc and bad guys, we have our next SHODO set. So of course SHODO Outsider, which always kind of goes alongside SHODO X sets of some bad guy characters and monsters and such. And this set is packed. There's a lot of bad guys, riders, and just monsters in this set for you guys to have. So SHODO 09 is going to include the following characters. From Kamen Rider 01, we are going to be getting Kamen Rider Arc 0, which of course is kind of the main original form of the arc as a rider. We've seen many other forms, including Arc Thouser, since then, but this is kind of the original version of this, and it looks really cool how they've been able to recreate the tubing and how, SHODO figures are all painted for the most part, so it's really cool to see how that has come across on this figure. And it's just going to be going great with the brand new 01 that's going to be coming out and the brand new SHODO, new brand new line that they're starting once SHODO X wraps up. Now to continue with older SHODO figures, we're going to be getting Evil in his black hole form. We've gotten Evil before, and we've gotten the 4 main build riders in the SHODO line, but now we have Evil Black Hole for you to recreate pretty much any of the final battles from the end arc of Build, which is really, really great. We recently got Drive Riders in the SHODO line, so to go with them, we're going to be getting Kamen Rider Gold Drive, or Gold Drive, however you want to actually say it. It should be Gold Drive, but sometimes it's, referred to as Gold Drive when you translate it for some reason. But yes, Gold Drive is coming as well, which is not surprising because it's pretty much just a repaint slash, slight remold of, Proto Drive and Drive kind of put together. So yeah, this makes perfect sense that we're getting this here, and it's really cool that we are. Next up, also from 01, who's not really a villain rider anymore, but definitely can be considered a villain rider, is Kamen Rider Thouser. So just straight up Thouser to go with 01 as well, or to work with 01 to fight Arc 1 or Arc 0. I always get that flipped around. And then the rest of the set is just a bunch of monsters, starting off with more versions of the Mole Imagine. That we've gotten the Mole Imagine before. I think just recently we got it in SHODO O. I think it was in the last SHODO O set, or it was in the set very recently. And now we're going to be getting different versions of the Mole Imagine, because it's shown up so many different times in different movies and specials and stuff, and sometimes it's a little bit different, so they wanted to give us another version of it there as well. Next up, we have the first monster of the entire Heisei period, the one that Kuga fights in the church in the very first episode of Kuga, and that is going to be Zu Gumagu, the Grongi himself from Kamen Rider Kuga. So this one looks awesome. This is definitely a very important kind of character in the entire grand scheme of Kamen Rider, and it's just really neat to see it get an action figure here in 2022. And speaking of classic Kamen Rider villains, we're also going to be getting the Chaps from Kamen Rider Black RX, just kind of the generic foot soldiers of that season. Now, of course, this picture here shows two different versions of the Chap, but you're not going to get both versions of the Chap in the set necessarily. They are both being released in this set, but the way it's going to work is that whenever you buy a Chap figure, it's going to be randomized which one of the Chaps you get. So you won't know which color version you're going to be getting until you open it up, which definitely can frustrate some people for sure, especially if you want a specific color. But if you're just probably trying to army build these, you might not mind which color you get. It's definitely an interesting way to go about it, and they said that they just kind of wanted to test this as an experiment for possible future things that could kind of go in this direction, or could benefit from something like this. But basically, you're not going to know which version you get until you open the box. Alright, well that's going to do it for this week's episode of SODO Sundays. Of course, until next time, if you guys would like to check out other tokusatsu related content from me around the internet, you can check out Geeky Tweak, Toku Topics, and SODO Pop on YouTube. You can also follow me on Twitter at LivingRagerKey or at LightningTweakPR. And I'll see you all next time. Tokusatsu forever.